Epstein and the blue butterfly. As many of you know, I've been trying to figure this symbol out for many years now. Myself and other victims have used the symbol. Virginia Gifford used it as her logo. Sarah Ransom has a blue butterfly tattoo. I had a blue butterfly on my diary the year I met Epstein. I made the diary before I even met him. I also have a blue butterfly in a painting I've done. Here is my diary, and in the next image you'll see the painting that I did. And then also Epstein started the Blue Butterfly Trust. You'll see there's also a serpent on the left and a butterfly on the right. I started the painting in 2002, before I met them. Epstein told me he worked with Leslie Wexner, and he was supposed to take me there to model for Victoria's Secret. As we know, in Victoria's Secret they often wear wings. So it's also much like the whole butterfly symbol. That's me the day I arrived on the island. I was never given any modelling opportunities. I was just kidnapped and taken by them. That was the picture in the bedroom I was made to stay in. Then there was $1 billion worth of trafficking between Jeffrey Epstein and JP Morgan, human trafficking. And they started the Butterfly Trust, Epstein and Deutsche Bank, to pay off victims and accomplices. So there's a lot going on with this whole butterfly symbol. So I've been trying to find out what it means. And then obviously a lot of people have started to realize through the files that Epstein has been interceding the human race with his DNA. He also funded the robot Sophia, apparently. And when I was taken there, I woke up in a lab. So what I think is that they were doing experiments on us and also taking our eggs. Because the human hips are shaped like a butterfly, so that would make sense to call it the Butterfly Trust. But there's a lot more to the butterfly symbol, and we'll get there. Slowly but surely, we're all putting the pieces together. It's been horrendous for the other survivors and I. But as we know, Dolly the sheep was cloned in 1996, and Bill Clinton banned human cloning in 1997. I met Epstein when he was with Bill Clinton. As we know, they were going to do baby cloning in the 90s, and suddenly it just went quiet. So there's clearly a lot more going on here. Epstein's New Mexico ranch is also apparently directly between Dulce and Roswell base. Anyway, let's listen to Clinton.
Good morning. Would it be possible to clone? Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed. Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings.
I also met Michael Bay in New Mexico. Michael Bay, who made the movie The Island about cloning. Michael Bay denied being there, but he was there. He apparently also met with the CIA. Epstein told me he worked with CIA. Sergey Brin, who owns Google, and his ex-wife, Anna Volchovsky, who's the owner of 23andMe, were both on the island as well. So as we all know, there's a lot more going on here. Epstein, told another victim he wanted to clone himself in a lab, and more has been coming out through the files. Also, the first baby, Eve, was cloned in 2002, just after I was taken there. It's quite clear that something's been hidden there. And also Oprah, who's friends with John of God, who was put in jail for having apparently a baby farm. Apparently Epstein owned her network, King's Network. So when one starts to connect the dots, it gets more and more frightening. Then we can go back to JP Morgan and Snow White, Disney princesses, the Butterfly Trust, on and on we go. And we'll get to the rest now. The ranch, it's quite clear that there's something underneath that property. Again, as I said, it's directly in between Roswell and Dulce base. There are a lot of things going on in that area that we're not aware of. Also, as far as Epstein supposedly being a maths teacher who misspelled his name on the board, and there's a butterfly there. And then we get back to cloning, the transhumanism transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And then all these logos like Blue Sky, the new app, and Twitter, both blue-winged creatures. When we start to connect the dots, it's quite strange. Then we've got X, and, X is also much like a butterfly shape in a way, but, it's symmetrical and all. Then we have Katy Perry going to space and throwing a blue butterfly out there. if they actually did go to space, then her name's underneath mine on the Epstein flight logs, which is also very freaky. She was in space with Lauren Bezos and Gayle King, Oprah's friend. And as we know, Lauren Bezos got married to Jeff Bezos, and they had blue butterflies all over their wedding invitation, which is also very peculiar. And Jeff Bezos owns the Amazon, and you get the blue morpho butterfly in the Amazon. Anyway, I'm still researching all this, but I do have an answer at the end. Then we've got the man from The Simpsons who was there, and down the rabbit hole we go. Alice in Wonderland, Disney princesses and butterflies. Butterfly Trust, the banks, the code word Snow White.
Symbol of transformation. Soon, he will become a butterfly, just as Alice must evolve on her own spiritual journey. From this point onward, Wonderland becomes a labyrinth of trials. Each character Alice meets subjects her to mental challenges.
Alice in Wonderland, it's like alive in Wonderland. Then we've got Walt Disney and, the temple on the island. I started to realize recently that it's very similar to like a pharaoh's headdress. And then we've got Ellen DeGeneres, of course, with the same background. But here we have the pharaoh's headdress, which is very similar to the imagery that they're projecting here. And then we've got Isis, a blue-winged creature, much like a blue butterfly, the goddess Isis. Then we've got and the more and more we look, the more weird it becomes. But there's more to the story. And then beautiful women like Gabby Petito and the beautiful woman Irina, remembered by a butterfly. Then we have the butterfly effect, where small things can make big things happen. The whole reason Epstein got caught was because of a quarrel between two young girls at school. And then we've also got the butterfly effect, the movie, where they're sexually abused as children. Then we have MK Ultra. And the butterfly is a symbol of Christ, apparently. This is a picture from Epstein's island. He put a butterfly on the tree there, a monarch butterfly. And the only other time I've seen butterflies on a tree is when Melania Trump put butterflies all over her tree. Then we have Charles with the butterfly next to him. Apparently this painting might have even been painted in blood. Then we've got the Monarch Project. What I came to realize is that they're using the butterfly symbol to mock Christ, to mock goodness of all religions. This was a life-size statue at Epstein's New Mexico ranch. These people are the Antichrist. That's why we need to fight against them. And there are more of us than there are of them. And together we can do it. I promise you.